Welcome back to the Situation Room. We're in situation 3 where you have to fuel yourself for right after work or school. So this is when you want to go to your training, your practice. Usually, sometimes it's a game, but often I hear I have a practice or a training session right after my long period of being at school or work. So how do I fuel myself for this situation? Likely you've had lunch. Hopefully you've had lunch, maybe at around noon or 1 o'clock in the midday, so that you've had a balanced performance meal at that point and you have some energy already in your system from that meal. So I do not take that lightly. You really need to have done well earlier in the day to be optimized for the afternoon. But now you're getting into the situations where you do not now need a whole meal, a performance meal, because you've eaten enough energy to have some in your muscles to go for that training session. So in all likelihood, if you're pretty sedentary during your day and your training session is not that heavy, you can be fine just having some water and using up the energy in your muscles, especially if you're looking for any body composition changes. This is not the time where you really need to be super stocking energy in your muscles. If you need energy to get through that training session, then I would suggest having a really light snack, like a piece of fruit in the afternoon, maybe an hour to an hour and a half before the training session. So that gets into situation 2, where you are having some imbalanced snack or a very mini meal in the 2 hours to 1 hour before your training session. So at that point, you want to have your options in front of you. Are you having things like smoothies or whole pieces of fruit? Are you having crackers and maybe a little bit of cheese? Are there things that you're combining to make maybe more the energy come out? So in the crackers and cheese situation, it would be that you're having more crackers and a little bit of cheese, and so you have enough time to digest. Make sure in this instance that you're hydrating well, because leading up those 2 hours before you're actually getting into training mode, if you're dehydrated, you're going to perform worse. And this is the time period to be hydrating and getting that liquid into your muscles where it needs to be by the time you go to train. So those are crucial. Now, if you didn't have time to have a snack, and you've had a meal, like it's been 4, 5, 6 hours, then you definitely need to be having sports foods. I would highly encourage it. And sports foods, it can be as simple as diluted juice with a tiny bit of salt if you want to have for the electrolytes. It's not always going to be necessary. It just depends on if you sweat heavily. So if you're younger and you're not sweating yet, because that really happens at puberty, around 12 to 15 years old for girls and 14 years old to 16 years old for boys, if you're not a heavy sweater yet or at all, then you don't need those little salt like electrolytes added to your sports drink. What you would want is that sugar part, which is the fast absorbing energy, the energizer to get into your muscles. So within half an hour of your training session, you could have a juice or you could have a piece of fruit if it does sit well in your stomach. So that's getting into the third situation, where you're going to be having sports foods. And it's super important, if you have not had this really balanced, great meal before your training session or your practice or game, that you have a fully balanced performance meal after, so that you do recover and you get in things like the superfoods that you weren't able to have before. So any kind of vegetables or healthy fats that you don't have enough time to digest right before your training session, you have them after, when you have lots of time to relax in the evening. So that is the situation. If you are in the situation where you need to fuel yourself after work, after school, I got you covered. Practice what I'm telling you and share the good news with me so that we can get a discussion going about what works for you.